Warning, the following audio transmission will forever change your outlook on society. You will no longer believe the narrative. You are about to wake up and see things for what they really are. News, facts, and opinions. This is the Doom Daily Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Doom Daily Show. I am your host, Jester Dooms. The email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Everywhere on social media, @JesterDooms. The website, www.jestersvoice.com. Everywhere on social media, @JesterDooms. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. I hope everybody's doing well out there in radio land, internet radio land. Yeah. My morning is going to be comprised of the normal morning back to the norm routine that I do. Get the kids off where they need to go, come back to the homestead, figure out what my plan of attack is going to be for the day, and then execute said plan of attack for the day. Yes. I've got a lovely convicted melon, liquid death, which I guess is supposed to be a watermelon flavor, but it is just very, very light, like not very strong. But it's okay. It's nice, something cold and fizzy to drink, so it's fine. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. My apologies for missing Monday's show. I ended up having a friend pop in town on Saturday, and I didn't really want, I haven't seen this friend in like 10, well, he hasn't been here in almost 10 years. And we got really involved with just kind of the kids running around and doing all the crazy things. And it was just like, you know what, the mental capacity to record is just not there. And I'd also like to spend some time with my friend, you know. But we went and did some cool things. We got a few miles of hiking in over the weekend. Him and his wife wanted to go hike the waterfalls and some of the trails. And so we went and did that. And I think we ended up doing probably in total right around like 5 miles of hiking over the weekend, which was fantastic. I would like to do more. I wish I could do that like on the daily, but you know, time gets in the way and you just can't do those things all the time, I guess. Anyway, moving forward, we are now into May, so the darkest month is behind us. I know we've already mentioned that in a previous episode, but I'm mentioning it again, right? So I'm not saying you could bank on it or you can count on it, but statistically, the major things happen in April, which means that they should be wildly calmer, you know, unless tragedy decides to strike. Unless you have like a crazy, you know, like another 9/11 situation or something of the sort. We should be in the clear for a little while here, hopefully. Hopefully. I'm really hung up on this Spirit Airlines shutting down, because it's kind of really taken to media headlines like nobody thought it would, I guess. It's very odd and very bizarre. I mean, budget airlines come and go, right? It's a thing, okay? The first airline I flew on was AirTran, which was a bit of a budget airline, or was a budget airline. And then it seemed like, you know, as they were on their way out, you know, Spirit was like overtaking everything. So, you know, I would fly Spirit Airlines occasionally, which I got to tell you, I fucking hated Spirit Airlines. I hated it. It's like the prices look really great and the flights are fucking horrible. The service is fucking horrible. They charge you for every damn thing that they can. It's crap. There's not complimentary shit. And back in the day, you know, there was a lot of complimentary things on the plane, right? Like I remember getting on the plane and, you know, here's a soda, here's some cookies, here's some nuts, blah, blah, blah. And on Spirit, they wanted to charge you for everything. Like, no, you can't just get a soda for free. What are you, stupid? And I've since kind of sworn off Spirit Airlines anyway, so I'm not upset at all that they went out of business, but just it's very odd. You know, it's kind of like, hey, look at the big yellow plane over here and don't look over here. And the internet memes and everything else. And I've met very few people. There's not been too many people that I've met that have actually been like, oh yeah, Spirit's awesome. I'll fly them all the time. Like you're flying Spirit because you're broke and you got to go somewhere. Or you've never flown before at all. And you're like, well, that's pretty cheap. I guess I'll just fly. Not knowing what you're going to encounter. And I'm not saying I'm an airline snob or anything like that, but I have my airlines I like and I have my airlines I can't stand, right? I am a big Delta fan. I like flying with Delta. Okay. American, I used to like, and it just seems like every time I end up flying them again, it's just a really shitty experience. So I don't think that I'm a big fan of American anymore. But I don't know. So in later years, I think that the Delta is the way to go, just for cost-wise, things that are included with the flight. The idea that we get, like our cell phone carrier, we get free internet on the flight. It works out better for us flying Delta. So yearly, when we try to book tickets to go overseas and do things, it's usually trying to book with Delta. But yeah, Spirit Airlines, man, who would have thought? But what's interesting is if you look and you read between the lines a little bit, there was a lot of kind of there were some backdoor deals, it seemed like, going on. Like they were trying to do things to save the airline, but it didn't happen. I guess they were pleading with the Trump administration to give them a $500 million rescue package. Was something that was going on, which fell through. So anyway, we'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, Producer Scooter here. First off, thank you for downloading and participating in the wide world of Jester Doom. Please be sure to check out jestersvoice.com website. Everything you want to know is located on jestersvoice.com. If you're looking for salacious details, it's on jestersvoice.com. Don't forget to share the show with your friends and even with all your enemies. And now, back to the musings of Jester Doom.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Doom Daily Show. I am your host, Jester Dooms. The email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. The website, jestersvoice.com. Go there, leave us an audio message, and buy an Apocalyptic Apparel t-shirt while you're there. Helps out me and producer Scooter tremendously. God, I can't speak today. All right. So I went to the doctor last week and they told me your blood pressure is getting through the roof, right? And I've been over here trying to figure out ways to combat this blood pressure, okay, over the last few days. And what's really odd to me is there's something I'm doing that I'm not picking up on, and I think I figured out what it may be, okay? So, all right. I'm still following my blood type based diet. I'm still pretty active. Like I'm still doing things. My blood pressure a year ago was perfect, right? It was like nothing to worry about at all. And I'm over here. There's like three things that are going on that I'm trying to like wrap my mind around. Like, why are these things happening? First off is the blood pressure. Like it's up, and why? Why is it up now? I lost a lot of weight a few years back and I didn't regain all that weight. Like, I don't know. I regained about 10 pounds. And then that's the other thing. It's like, why am I not shaking this weight I regained? What is going on here? And then over the last couple months, it's been like this struggle for energy, I guess, as this blood pressure was on the rise. And I'm like, what the fuck is actually happening? Like, what is going on? So the doctor put me on a diuretic and in hopes that it would combat the blood pressure before it would get to the point of needing medication. And I'm like, okay, like I don't have a high sodium diet. There's like, what the fuck is actually going on? And I said to myself, well, the only thing I'm really doing in excess is drinking shit tons of caffeine. Now, when I say shit tons of caffeine, like I buy Lavazza coffee, I have an espresso maker, and I drink that shit, like a pot of it in the morning, and then maybe a couple more cups throughout the day. And then I'm, maybe hitting up like Starbucks or something in the afternoon for a triple espresso. So there's definitely excessive amounts of caffeine, right? Now, this could obviously make your blood pressure go up. We know this. So I said, let me go ahead and try to cut back on the caffeine a little bit. And I haven't had any of the espresso at the house. I haven't had any espresso out. I've been just doing like maybe one cup of coffee, right, for the day. Now, in doing this, I woke up yesterday morning and my blood pressure like dropped way down, like not in scary range anymore. And I'm like, was it just the espresso like the whole time? Was there just too much of that in my system? Then I jump on the scale and am 4 pounds lighter than I was the day before. And I'm like, was I retaining water weight because of all the caffeine? And I went down a little rabbit hole. And what I've found is, and this is like something crazy. Okay. So the new fucking hot term on the block is cortisol. right? Like that's what everybody talks about now. Everybody on the internet, oh, your cortisol is too high. It's making you go bald and it's making you be a fat ass. You need to reduce your cortisol levels. And it's like, cortisol, what the fuck? We didn't hear about this shit 20 years ago. What the fuck is this? Right? But it's this new trending thing. And if you guys follow what goes on in the scam of the healthcare industry and the scam of the weight loss industry, there's always a scam, right? Like, oh, we found this and it's great and you should do this, right? And oh, we found this and it's great, you should do this. Like, you guys remember back, I don't know, probably like 20 years ago, everybody was on like the raspberry ketones kick. Remember the raspberry ketones, right? It was like sold out of stores and shit. Now it's like nobody even talks about it anymore. It's like gone. And then maybe like, I don't know, not all that long ago, in my mind, it probably doesn't seem like all that long ago, but it's probably a lot long ago. Everybody was doing the keto diet, right? Keto. And it's keep your body in a constant state of ketosis and blah, blah, blah. And like all this shit, right? And that was a thing, big thing. Like you can go to the store and buy keto bread, keto friendly, everything, keto, right? Now it's this like everything anti-cortisol, right? So in the rabbit hole that I went down, excessive amounts of caffeine can increase your cortisol levels. So when your cortisol goes up, apparently everything bad starts happening to you. You start going bald, you can't lose weight, you can't do anything, right? Now, I don't know how one goes and gets tested for cortisol levels. I don't know. But I just find it to be very interesting. I'm like, okay, I'm done with the coffee for a while. We're going to see how this goes. And all of a sudden, blood pressure drops and I lose like 4 pounds of water weight overnight. And it's like, okay, there's clearly a connection here between the caffeine and the blood pressure and the caffeine and not being able to shake a fucking pound of weight in months. So the idea that, you have to do certain things, like you have to keep your like lymphatic system active and you have to eat right and you have to be on your calorie deficit and all these things to lose weight, that's great. But I'm going days, like, and I was having this conversation with a friend, like, like I don't eat garbage and I don't eat like crazy, right? Like I'm probably on most days, unless we're going out and doing something crazy, on most days, I'm probably topping out at like 1,500 calories. And I don't live a full-on sedentary lifestyle. Like I'm out moving and shaking and doing, and things are happening. Okay. So now I'm just kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and I think that's all it is. So to the listeners out there, if you're one of these people that's on the excessive amounts of caffeine, maybe you ought to watch what's going on here, and maybe you ought to like cut back a little bit on that too, or get off it for a couple of days and see how you feel, see what happens. But the reason I'm having trouble pronouncing words and this, that, the others, like I am actively going through fucking caffeine withdrawal. And it's bad. And with that, something else that I've noticed with this, not having the excessive amounts of caffeine, is my body's been less tolerant to nicotine. Okay, so I don't smoke, I don't vape, but I do pouches, right? I used to smoke and I quit smoking years ago, and I use the pouches as a crutch to get away from the smoking completely. And it's just kind of been a thing that's just kept going. But now I'll find myself, I'll put a pouch in without having the caffeine. I'll have it in for 2-3 minutes. And it's like it's fucking with my stomach now. Like I don't want it. Like it's got to go. It's giving me the hiccups. It's like there's too much. And it's like, okay, something's happening here where my body's like, you don't need this. And I wonder if, it's not the caffeine and the nicotine fueling each other. That's all. Anyway, we'll be right back after these messages.
Need a break from reality? Well, sometimes I do too. And the place I go to take that break is the Beans and Weenie Show. You can find the link at linktree.com/BWD crew. The Beans and Weenie Show, where chaos and common sense wage war and you get a front row seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Doom Daily Show. I'm your host, Jester Dooms. You know the rest, but I probably shouldn't even get into this article just because I can't form words today, but we're going to do it anyway. So on the Epic Times by Jackson Richmond, Iranian strikes on UAE ships, admin U.S. operation to open Hormuz Strait, test ceasefire. Iran carried out strikes on an Emirati oil port, admin U.S. operation to reopen the Strait of Hormuz on May 4th, testing the ceasefire between Washington and Tehran. U.S. President Donald Trump stopped short of saying that the ceasefire had been violated. They were shot down for the most part, in quotations, Trump told ABC News. One got through, not huge damage. Trump has struggled to contain the upheaval in global energy markets caused by Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, a waterway that handled roughly 1/5 of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas exports before the war. More than 2 months after Trump joined Israel in launching an air campaign against Iran on February 28th, Tehran has effectively shut the strait to most foreign shipping, allowing passage largely only to its own vessels. Since last month, Washington has also imposed a blockade on ships entering or leaving Iranian ports. In a post on Truth Social on May 3rd, the president announced Project Freedom, an effort to free up ships stranded by the strait's closure, would begin on the morning of May 4th. The Epoch Times was unable to independently confirm the full conditions in the strait on May 4th as the opposing sides continued to issue conflicting accounts. There was no immediate evidence that significant numbers of merchant vessels were attempting new crossing, and major shipping firms indicated that they would likely wait for a formal cessation of hostiles before resuming transit. So I guess that means that they're going to wait till they call a actual fucking ceasefire before they start, going back to work. At least in the short term, commercial traffic has not rebounded, while Iran has responded with an intensified show of force and warnings that any further escalation could trigger fresh strikes against neighboring states. The U.S. military said 2 American merchant ships successfully passed through the strait, although it did not specify when the transit occurred. Iran rejected that account. Iran's not going to give anything to allude that they're not winning or they're not in control of the situation. So just bear that in mind with any information coming from Iran. Now, with that being said, also do remember that we alter the media here and we alter news here, which means you really don't know who to believe now, do you? That's the problem. Unless you're over there and you're seeing it with your own 2 eyes, it's really hard to believe some of these things. In a post on X on May 4th, the U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, said several Navy guide missile destroyers were operated inside the Persian Gulf in support of the mission, and that 2 U.S.-flagged merchant vessels had crossed the strait and were safely headed on their journey. CENTCOM did not identify the naval escorts or the merchant ships, nor to provide a timeline for the reported passage. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps countered that no commercial ship had crossed the strait in recent hours and dismissed the U.S. assertions as false. Earlier, Tehran said its forces fired on a U.S. warship nearing the strait, causing it to withdraw. An initial Iranian statement claimed that the vessel had been struck, but Washington denied that, and Iranian officials later characterized the incident as warning shots. Right. So the U.S. military has destroyed 6 Iranian small boats and intercepted cruise missiles and drones launched by Tehran as it carries out an operation aimed at keeping shipping lanes open through the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Admin Brad Cooper, head of CENTCOM, said on May 4th. Cooper said he had strongly advised Iranian forces to stay clear of U.S. military assets during the operation. He noted that a U.S. blockade of Iran restricting vessels from entering or leaving Iranian territory remains in place and is performing better than expected. Iran's military warned that it will strike U.S. forces if they enter the Strait of Hormuz shortly after U.S. officials confirmed a naval mission to help escort commercial ships out of the key waterway. The warning delivered by Iranian commanders and lawmakers on May 4th comes as the United States prepares to send thousands of personnel and military assets for Project Freedom. The mission aims to restore the flow of maritime traffic through one of the world's most vital energy routes. Major General Ali Abdullahi, who leads Iran's Central Command, said in remarks broadcast by state media that Iran would target any foreign armed force attempting to approach or enter the strait, with particular emphasis on the United States. Meanwhile, the United Arab reported a fire at an oil factory in the port of Fujairah. Following Iranian drone strike, Fujairah sits beyond the Strait of Hormuz, making it one of the few Middle Eastern oil export hubs accessible without transiting the choke point. Air Defense said 12 ballistic missiles, 3 cruise missiles, and 4 unmanned aerial vehicles, according to the UAE Ministry of Defense. So it looks like this is not de-escalating like we had talked about it could potentially. And I kind of said otherwise, that I think it's only going to increase. But to continue into this, oil prices surged by more than 5% amid choppy trading after reports that Iranian attacks had intensified. In his March 3rd social media post, Trump offered few specifics on how the U.S. Navy would ensure the commercial vessels could pass through the strait. Iran's unified command responded by instructing commercial ships and oil tankers that they must coordinate transit with Iranian armed forces. In quotes, "We have repeatedly said the security of the Strait of Hormuz is in our hands. We warn that any foreign armed forces, especially the aggressive U.S. Army, will be attacked if they intend to approach or enter the Strait of Hormuz," the command said. The United States and Israel halted their bombing campaign against Iran 4 weeks ago, and U.S. and Iranian officials subsequently held one round of direct talks. However, efforts to arrange additional meetings have not succeeded. Iranian state media reported on May 3rd that Washington had delivered its response to a 14-point Iranian proposal through Pakistan, and that Tehran was reviewing it. Neither side disclosed details. Under Tehran's proposal, discussions over its nuclear program would be deferred until after an agreement is reached to end the war and settle the confrontation over shipping. Trump said over the weekend that he will consider the offer, but was likely to reject it. Well, there you go. So things are not de-escalating like we thought they were. And we are all feeling it at the pumps right now. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, we all are out there trying to save gas and go to work and do what we need to do to provide for our families. And it's crazy to us just think and assume that one issue on the other side of the world that we can't see, we can't hear, we can't nothing is affecting things this bad here. Fuel prices are likely to go on the rise even more. So bear that in mind. And I'll tell you something, you know, we all work to do like the fuel points and the 10% off a gallon and like all the shit we all work on trying to do extra wise to save gas. And what I've come to find is, you know, you go to the high-end grocery store, you sign up for their shit, you get their fuel pump points, you use their fuel pump. So that's great. You are saving at the pump. But the fact of the matter is they already got their prices skyrocketed higher than anybody else in town. So you're still not saving. So let's not don't get too glassy-eyed over, you know, oh, save at the pump when you see these signs. Because if you're saving 10 cents a gallon, but it's 20 cents a gallon cheaper down the road, that's where you should go, right? I mean, that's it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm just over here secretly hoping that this gets ended soon and that we could start saving money at the gas pump and we could watch prices on things go down. I'm also secretly hoping that this brings back some domestic oil production in the U.S., okay? I'm also hoping that this brings back like the fracking industry. I'm hoping that it brings things back, more fossil fuel-oriented things in the States. For all the crazy tree-hugging hippies out there, like, listen, technology has came a long way. It's not as a horrible thing as it once was. Fracking was fantastic. A lot of people hated it, but I think they hated it because they didn't understand it. They didn't understand the process. So, you know, we have to gain some independence again. And if we don't, we're going to be faced with conflicts like this. And what would you rather do? Would you rather put our men and women of the United States in harm's way to go fight these wars, pay higher prices at the pump, pay higher taxes, and pay more into the federal government to fund these wars? Or would you rather drive down the road and see a gas fracking plant? I'd rather see that. I'd much rather see things become more domesticated. I'd like to see coal miners driving big shiny new trucks again, talking about how much money they're making in the mines. I'd like to see that shit again. Love to see all the steel mills start opening back up. I'd like to see that. I would like to see us become way less dependent on plastic goods. I'd love to see that shit. And the thing that I keep going back to is these motherfuckers, they have a one-track mind and they're so blinded by things that they see and they hang on to these stupid little things. And, you know, it's when you really break this shit down, man, plastic is in absolutely everything. Plastic is a byproduct of making fuels. So it's damn near free. That's why it's in everything and everywhere. That's why your straws are free at McDonald's. That's why your grocery bags are free at the grocery store. That's why when you open a bank account, that plastic card you get, you're not being charged for it. Vehicle prices are on the rise, but yet more components are being made of cheap plastic. And then the thing that kills me more is, you know, these guys want nice smooth roads to drive their Tesla car on, not realizing that we need to make asphalt from the same shit. The gasoline at that point is just a byproduct. You fucking putz. Like, it's what this is, man. God, I'm so annoyed with electric cars. I'm over it. Anyway, That's about all the time we have for today. We'll be back here for another excited episode of the Doom Daily Show. Producer Scooter, if you would, hit that button, sir.
News, facts, and opinions. This is the Doom Daily Show.